behalf of our director, Thomas Yost, and the staff here, I'd like to welcome everyone to Tahoma National Cemetery. It's an honor to have everyone and to be able to create this space for your family. With military services, you're going to hear 3 loud volleys from our honor guard. It is very loud and it can be startling, so if you have sensitive hearing, little ones, or just would like to protect your hearing, our chaplain will let you know beforehand. Following COVID protocols, we are requesting that everyone wear masks. However, it's only required if you are not vaccinated.
2 other announcements before we start. If you have a cell phone, feel free to take pictures. Please silence the phone during the service. And secondly, when the Coast Guard unfolds the flag, I would ask all those who can to please rise except for the flag recipient. If you would please remain seated. U.S. Coast Guard. We, the members of the Plateau Veterans Honor Guard, along with our Coast Guard personnel and our bugler, are honored to be able to provide this service for our departed comrade, Stephen Atkinson. When the call of our country was heard, Stephen answered. Self was forgotten in the cause of the greater good. As a brave man, he marched away with an abiding faith in his God, his country, and his flag. The red of our country's flag was made redder by his heroism, the white more stainlessly pure by the motives that impelled him. And in the starry field of our nation's banner, the blue has been more glorified by the service he has given for our American ideals. As the years roll on one by one, we're called on to provide these last sad duties of respect for our departed comrades. The present, full of the cares that beset all nations, whether engaged in war or peace, fades away as we look back on the day that Stephen left his home to defend his country. Imbued with a spirit of devotion and inspired by a love of his native land, he gladly went forth and joined with fellow comrades, both young and old, to defend our heritage of freedom. We trust the example set by Stephen will serve as a glowing beacon to the youth of our country, who may one day be called on to uphold the honor of our flag. As the years go by, we too shall have finished our fight. We shall be laid to rest, and our souls join the long call to the realm above, where all enfolding death, hour by hour, marks as recruits. Let us live our lives so that when the keeper of the eternal record calls our names for the last time, others may say of us as we now say of Stephen, here lies all that is mortal of a true-hearted comrade and fearless defender of his country and its flag. Officers will now perform the last duties of our station.
We place this last token of affection from his comrades in arms on this altar, and crown his mortal soul with the symbol of victory.
On behalf of a grateful republic for whose integrity Stephen enlisted and served, we have placed upon the altar this emblem of our country, a country whose arms are always open to shelter the oppressed.
The march of our comrade is over, and he lieth down in the house appointed for the living. This grave reminds us of the frailty of human life and the tenure by which we hold our own. In such an hour as ye know not, the final summons may come, which no one disobeys. It seems fitting that we should lay our comrade to rest under the arching skies as he did when he pitched his tent or laid down in days gone by, weary and footsore by the roadside or on the field of battle. Our comrades in the Navy no longer hear the sound of the waves or float upon the bosom of the deep, no longer hear beneath the peaceful skies or are driven before the angry storm. Each of us, when our voyages and battles with life are over, find comfort in that region of living where we find eternal rest and be laid to rest. Our comrades in the hands of Heavenly Father, and God giveth this beloved sleep, who be laid to rest, but let us cherish his virtues and learn to imitate them, reminded by the place he fills no more that our ranks are thinning. Let each one be so loyal to every virtue, so true to every friendship, so faithful in the remaining marches that we'll be able to fall out and take his place in the view hereafter. Not in doubt, but with the faith that the merciful captain of our salvation will call him to the fraternity which on earth and in heaven remains unbroken. The Master saith, thy brother shall rise again. I am the resurrection and the life. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. And the Spirit unto the great Spirit that watches over the lives and souls of men. Amen. U.S. Coast Guard, post. As the Coast Guards, when they start folding the flag, there's a poem I'd like to say about our flag. And Stephen served so well. I'll wait until they start folding the flag to go into that.
Please rise.
Honor guard, attention, forward, shoulders, turn, ready, aim, ready, aim, ready, forward, present, arm. Forward,
Please be seated.
forward, march.
On the flag of the United States of America, my name is Old Glory. I was born July 4th, 1776. My birth certificate is Declaration of Independence. I fly atop some of the world's tallest buildings. I stand and watch in America's halls of justice, and I fly majestically over great institutions of learning. I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, honor, truth, and justice. I stand for freedom. I'm confident, I'm arrogant, I'm proud. When I'm flown with my fellow banners, my head is a little higher, my colors are a little truer. I bow to no one. I'm worshipped, I'm saluted, I'm respected, I'm revered, I'm loved, and I'm feared. I'm recognized all over the world. For more than 245 years, I've fought in every battle of every war. Gettysburg, Shiloh, Appomattox, San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, the Argonne Forest, Anzio, Rome, the beaches of Normandy, the jungles of Guam, Okinawa, and Tarawa. And in the Sea of the Persian Gulf, and the mountains of Afghanistan, and a score of other places long forgotten by most, but well remembered by those who were there. I led my airmen, soldiers, sailors, and marines. I watched over them. I've swept the surly bounds of earth. From my vantage point on the moon, I stand watch over the new frontiers of space. And I've been silent witness to all of America's finest hours. When I rest in the terminal, when I'm flown at half-mast, honor my airmen, soldiers, sailors, and marines. When I rest in the trembling arms of the loved one at the graveside, I'm proud. When my finest hours come, I'm torn into strips to be used as bandages for my wounded comrades on the field of battle. My name is Old Glory. Long may I wait, dear God. Long may I live.
On behalf of the President of the United States, the Commandant of the Coast Guard, and a grateful nation, please accept this flag as a symbol of our nation's gratitude for your loved ones' faithful and honorable service.
I present you these 3 shells in memory of the 3 volleys fired for level. The volleys stand for his honor, courage, and commitment. As long as we draw breath, we will never forget the service.
This envelope contains information regarding the location of Stewart Cemetery. Any questions, Dr. Dooku's U.S. Coast Guard. This time, we'll turn it over to your family member who wishes to speak.
Thank you. Appreciate the Coast Guard coming here today and honoring my friend. Thank you all who came today to pay respects to my best friend and work partner, Big Steve Atkinson. I'm truly honored to be here today. Thank you to his wife Denise, children Michelle, Stephanie, Kimberly, and Renee, their children, their grandchildren, the great-grandkids of Steve Atkinson. I first met Steve when I moved to Snoqualmie in the 1980s. The first job I got there was building some apartments, and I thought, great, another crappy job where I'm going to be doing all the work. Much to my surprise, my new work buddy, Big Steve, was thinking the same thing. Neither one of us had ever found anyone that could keep up with us. I knew immediately that I liked him, not just because he could carry his weight. He was smart, experienced, and he made work fun again. Steve had a way to make you laugh without even trying, and the days would fly by. Over the next several years, we worked from Seattle to Ellensburg on every kind of structure. His great sense of humor carried us through every kind of weather and situation. He would get a job, find they needed help, and call me in. I would do the same for him. We were the best team they'd ever seen, showing the other teams how it's done wherever we traveled. He even drove to Boise one summer to help me out on a job there and stayed with us for a few weeks. It was just like old times again. Sometimes we even landed some good prevailing wage jobs. We raised our kids, paid our bills. It was over this time frame I got to know more about my friend and his pride of service as a member of the United States Coast Guard, where he was selected as the ship swimmer for his boat. I thank the Coast Guard again for honoring Steve Atkinson. After the military, he spent many hours in decompression chambers surrounding his deep sea diving and underwater welding years. Today, America needs more people like him. He was a man among men, confident without arrogance, full of pride, but without conceit, tougher than most, but a guardian of the heart. Steve was an avid hunter and outdoorsman, an excellent marksman, and deadly accurate with a compound bow. Steve hunted in Alaska, the Midwest, and of course, the Pacific Northwest. I learned about the deep respect that he'd shown for the animals that he pursued. He was a gentleman and grateful of this land's bounty. A lifetime hockey fan, every year he cheered on his team, the Chicago Blackhawks, having lived there as a younger man, and ironically, they seemed to mirror his hard-driving personality. Steve was always reading, designing, or building the next new idea. Once something piqued his interest, he would never stop digging until he found out all the answers for himself. Few people could speak so intelligently on such a broad range of subjects. His opinions were strong, well-founded, and mostly appreciated. Just ask his kids and their families. Like me, Big Steve loved fast cars. I will never forget the drives we've taken, especially riding in his red 240Z. On the outside, he was the last man you'd ever want to cross. Extremely protective of his family and mostly closed off, letting a select few people in. I've been lucky to get a glimpse inside that hard, calloused outer shell, to see a man's life filled with the pursuit of knowledge, followed by creating, and then inspiring others. His talent and gift was art. He could carve and create what no one else could imagine. Sometimes he would like to keep hidden what was cooking in his mind's eye, and then blow you away when the piece was complete. Like a cedar strip canoe with ornate paddles, maybe a Hopi or Navajo Kachina doll in full dress, he would light up when he told you about the backstory and the history and each one's sacred use. After studying the Pacific Northwest Native tribes, he was fully immersed in carving incredibly accurate, museum-quality hand-painted statues and totem animals, including killer whales, Eskimos, or a seal coming up through the ice from a memory of his time in Alaska. I've always admired and envied his overall skills as an artist. Not everyone has been so blessed by God to create such amazing things, no matter how hard you try. Steve made his art look easy, even though we know he worked at it. Knowing what he liked, he always seemed to be his own hardest critic, continuously looking for perfection and recognizing beauty on sight. He found that in nature and inside his own family, his beautiful wife, his children, grandchildren that he loved so much, and he was loved by them all. Denise and the kids have been there through it all, come rain or shine, faithful and loving to her husband, their dad, grandpa, and great-grandpapa. They have also blessed the communities where they work and live. The Atkinson family opened their home to me and mine, even giving me and my kids a place to stay when I needed one, more than once. For that, we will always be grateful. Steve was raised in the strict Catholic school system where they beat the love of fear and respect of God into him and made him a better man for it. Now he's ultimately at rest until we meet again. Until then, I will continue to tell the stories about how when we were working for this guy, we came out and showed him how it was done. Or that time we saw that huge buck bounding across the clear cut and then crashing in and through the thick of the woods and the bush, and how the sound went on for days. He'll be up in heaven talking about his wife and kids and how he could always make them laugh, blush, or just tease them in a loving way. He'll tell them about fast cars, fishing trips, and how there's no more working in the rain. Maybe he'll even mention me or my kids, who have always known and loved him, as their Uncle Steve. Thank you very much.